It's about to get real, keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-hosts Cody Tanner and Nick Pretzel. Joe couldn't join us this evening. She's a little bit busy cheering on the folks out there. But how are you gentlemen doing on this Victory Monday?
James, I'm doing well. It's a Victory Monday. Always makes the Monday blues of going back to work a little bit sweeter. Cody, how are you doing this fine, rainy evening?
Kind of the same. Enjoying the Victory Monday, but man, it almost left a sour taste of victory in my mouth. The fact that we 6 turnovers and only scoring twice off those, and we'll get into all that. But doing well. James, how are you?
I'm doing good. Tough to do bad on a Victory Monday. You know, it just is. They really stressed us all out, though. I'll tell you what.
You really did.
Taking years off my lifespan.
Like only the Steelers can, right?
Yeah.
So we have some transactions previous to the game. We expected this. We told you guys on the preview show that we were expecting to see Trey Sermon come up and Max Sharping go to the IR. That's exactly what happened. Pittsburgh has not put another person on the 53-man roster quite yet. There are rumors floating around that this is because the plan is for Will Howard to come back after next week's game and take up that 53-man spot. So we'll see if that's what the plan ends up being. But as of right now, it is a 52-man roster. Maybe things change later on this week, and maybe they don't. If they don't, then this could be exactly what we were hoping to see, is Will Howard coming back to the roster and maybe getting a chance to play a little bit this year. What do you guys think about that?
I would be all for it. So you guys know where I stand. If you've listened to any of the podcast, you know where my opinions on that. But I would be full in with that idea.
Yeah, we've mentioned the path for Howard before being a long one, but seeing him get any sort of chance to be getting experience, be able to be a capable backup of the future for us, even if he doesn't get a shot to be the starter, I'd hate to see him get the Mason Rudolph treatment. I think that might be what he's headed toward, unfortunately. However, I love the kid. I loved his attitude coming into the draft and out of the draft. So I'm hoping he gets a chance. Not that I wish any ill will on Rodgers. It's just that I hope that we can get Will some experience as well. Like I mentioned before, ideally the scenario is Rodgers gets us so far ahead that we're in garbage time and we can throw Will Howard out there and get some experience against some guys. So that's my thoughts. You all have heard it before. You'll hear me say it again, I'm sure.
Yeah, got to put points on the board, but we'll get to that. Inactives for the game was Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott, Alex Highsmith, all 3 starters on defense. Andres Pete and Esezi Otomue.
It's easy for you to say.
Otamewo.
I think.
And the big takeaway from that was that we finally were going to get a chance to see Derek Harmon. We've seen his name on the injury list ever since the final preseason game. He tweaked that knee a little bit with a sprained MCL, fully healed up and ready to go. And it was exciting to know that he was out there and get a chance to show us what he's got. You know, we saw a little bit of promise in the preseason. We heard all kinds of good things about him in the offseason. And here he is, the first-round pick, the answer to all our run-stopping woes and maybe our pass-rushing woes as well, out there on the field, ready to go, and played over 30 snaps in this game.
Dang. Yeah, that was not – I would say in that aspect it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We did think he was going to have more of a limited playing, but I love to see that he had that much play time. And I didn't notice anything as far as discomfort from his playing style. And he got his first sack. I mean, so we'll get to that again when we
dang near got a second one too.
Yeah, very, very close. Was that the fingertip one that way?
Yes.
Yeah, and he rolled.
Yeah, he was real close on that one. And you got to think if he was 1 week healthier from that injury, he's probably a half a step quicker and gets him to the ground on that too. But let's not forget one of the reasons Pittsburgh wanted this man so badly. He led all of college football from the defensive tackle positions on quarterback pressures last year. More than any other defensive tackle in all of college football. Number 1 was Derek Harmon. So we should expect to see him back there harassing quarterbacks quite a bit now.
Yep. I'm all for it.
I'm sure we'll dive into that a lot more when we start talking on the defense. But just to bring back Cody's struggling to say Asezie Otomewo, or however you say his name, which is, I agree, a mouthful. My favorite place to get a mouthful of good food is the Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Well played, Nick.
Thank
Supporters of Steelers by the Lake include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar, located at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, offering daily lunch and dinner specials from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. For more information, call 814-734-5103 or visit edinburghhotelbar.com.
Yep, we do love the Edinburgh Hotel Bar. I did not go there this week. I made buffalo chicken dip at home. And
Sarah and I made it for the tail end of the game. Renegade was playing, Black and Yellow was playing when TJ made that great play towards the end there. It was a great atmosphere. So definitely get on down there if you get a chance. It's
it
always
is. It always is. There might be some more things to talk about that later, but I'll touch base with you guys before we talk about it on the show. But let's go ahead and hop into this game. Pittsburgh at New England. And this was a 1-1 team versus a 1-1 team. Both teams won one of their previous games, lost one. And on paper, this game should have been, it looked easy on paper. There was nothing scary overall about their team. We're not going up against any kind of crazy top tier quarterback in Drake May. Yes, they have Stephon Diggs, who luckily was held to pretty much nothing throughout the game. Defense wasn't super scary. Honestly, Robert Spillane, kind of a revenge game for him, and he played fairly well. But I don't know. I'm frustrated with how this game turned out overall. When we talked about it a little bit before, 6 turnovers. Pittsburgh forced 6 turnovers and only put up 21 points. And that is just wild to me.
Yeah. I think the official count was 5 turnovers on it, 4 fumbles and 1 interception.
I thought it was 4 and was it not?
Regardless,
Okay.
Lots of turnovers in the game, and Pittsburgh just not being able to capitalize for the most part on it. Lots of stalled out drives after these turnovers. The only big thing to me was that a lot of it was our defense really stepping up inside the red zone, forcing turnovers either in the end zone as the Patriots were about to score or right before, like fumbles forced at the 1-yard line by Cam Hayward. Just over and over, this defense did a tremendous job versus the run in this game. They did a great job covering wide receivers in this game. They did an atrocious job covering tight ends in this game. And that was kind of the frustrating part. If they could have figured out who was supposed to be on Hunter Henry for most of this game, it would have been a very lopsided contest. But that seemed to be an issue over and over. And if you take away the 45 yards rushing by Drake May, you held them to a very low total as far as rushing yards from the running backs. So I thought the defense did a much better job on harassing the quarterback and shutting down the running lanes. We saw a ton of penetration from Patrick Queen, some from Cole Holcomb and Peyton Wilson as well versus the run in this game. And it's exactly what we were calling for and hoping for. So I thought that those guys all really stepped their game up against the run big time. Just got to button up this pass defense as far as the middle of the field. The middle of the field just seems wide open play after play.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Pittsburgh's always either had an issue with covering deep balls or covering the middle of the field. I feel like we've never gotten both of those right at the same time.
Yeah.
And if it's not one of those two things, it's the run. You can't stop anyone from running the ball. Mm-hmm. And so I hope we get some things together. There was actually an article written on Steelers by the Lake by Jake Brockhoff about Trey Essex calling out Terrell Austin, and he said he's never going to call for a man's job. And he knows how hard it is to get one of those jobs in the league, but something has to change. It's well documented. The proof is in the pudding, he said, and his resume, good or bad, has been mostly bad. Terrell Austin still has a job right now. He's still the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. He has some work to do this weekend and definitely has a lot of work to do to be on the good side of Steeler Nation because – and here's the thing. Pittsburgh forcing 5 turnovers looks really good on paper, but I still think they're struggling on defense in some avenues of stopping. I know you talk about the run. There were too many big. We got them in a situation, I think, where they felt like they needed to pass, and they did fairly well again passing to the tight end. But I still felt like we gave up way too much, especially on 4th down. They were 4 of 5 on 4th down conversions.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So
yeah, and a couple of those, you had one where Drake May's able to convert on like a boot, a play action boot, because TJ Watt was held by a wide receiver blocking him.
Yep.
Another one, Cole Holcomb was one-on-one with a guy and just fell on his own feet, just kind of tripped. So some of that is just a little bit of luck going on there, but execution just not what it needs to be either in those situations. I would urge people to not forget what Pittsburgh has done very, very recently. Just 2 seasons ago, the Steelers led the entire NFL in interceptions. And this is a big change from what they were in previous years. So although there are definitely some big issues going on with the defense right now as far as run stopping, I would challenge you to find a team in the NFL who, with 5 starters on defense out, does a really good job getting lots of turnovers and getting lots of sacks and stopping the run. So last year, I mean, there was no good excuse for that. I think there was some personnel issues that you just had to change. But Terrell Austin's been the DC for a few years now, and as soon as he took over, this team started leading the league or being one of the best in forcing turnovers. And that's got to be something that you at least give him credit for, especially this week. There was a concentrated effort. Mike Tomlin said they realized that this team was not good with ball security. The starting running back, Ramondre Stevenson, fumbled the ball 7 times last year. So they knew that going after him and trying to get him to force to fumble the ball was something that was likely to happen. And that's good coaching. So I would caution people to be so anxious to throw him away when I think there's a lot of good going on still there. And sometimes when you got guys like Larry Ogunjobi starting on your defensive line, there's just nothing you can do to coach it up.
Well, and the sample size, too, is something that I want to highlight because we had 2 weeks of some notably poor play in the run game. And not that it was perfect this game at all. We still allowed 119 yards rushing, but it definitely improved. And you see that there's been some personnel changes. There's been some shifts. So Austin is trying to make do with what he can with the starters that we have out, with the injuries that we had early on. Harmon still, even though he did play more snaps than we thought he would, was limited. He played 47% of defensive snaps according to Behind the Steel Curtain, which brought Wyatt Black down from a 62% share of the snaps, which he was at previously, to 34% against the Patriots. So you see a shift there. You get Cole Holcomb coming in and outpacing both Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson in the snap count, and there's seemed to be some improvement there. You see Chuck Clark outpacing Juan Thornhill whereas Thornhill played 100% of the snaps last week. Now his usage drops to 39%, and Chuck Clark's up to 76% of the defensive snaps. So you see all these different adjustments that are happening that Terrell Austin's kind of being like, okay, this isn't working. We need to fix it. So you're getting a short sample size at the beginning of the year when starters hadn't played in the preseason. You had injuries going on. You got to work with the pieces that you have, and gunning for somebody after 2 weeks of the season I don't think is constructive. But that's my personal thoughts on the matter.
I don't think I'm gunning for him by any
Not
means.
you. There are other people that
anybody.
for sure
Not you, the
are.
kid that wrote the article.
That's fine. I think you're right. The injuries on defense and the snap count, the play time, like things are changing, things are being different. But I also think that 4 of 5 4th down conversions is just glaring to me. Like, yes, 2 of them you can say something for, but I don't know. That's just in my mind. There's a defense, and we saw the zone wasn't working, and man apparently wasn't working, at least with the tight ends. I feel like there just needs to be a change happen. There needs to be something that happen. I know we had some good blitzing from the interior linebackers, which is something it's been a while since we've seen. I'm just really interested to see what, if anything, might change moving forward to, I don't want to say force more turnovers because we did a good job this game, but just to not allow, I feel like so much of it's miscommunication and stuff like that. Like even on the first touchdown, who the heck was guarding the tight end that ran into the flats? Like I want to know those things, and it sucks not being able to know it. And maybe it was Jabril Peppers. He is new to the system. He was in the area. But there's breakdowns that happen throughout a game that I think are just more glaring than normal. It's not like, oh, we just made a bad mistake or blah, blah, blah. No, like who the heck was guarding this guy? Like, why do we not know that?
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that stuff gets addressed. But let's not talk overall too much. We can go through this like we normally do and start with offense and break things down. You guys want to start, James, talking about Aaron?
Yeah, let's start with Aaron. You know, the first 2 drives were nice. They went right down the field, got 2 touchdowns before the Patriots could even get on the board. We were up 14-0. Aaron was completing his passes, finding the open guys, and keeping things on schedule. Obviously, the opening script that was written up by Arthur Smith and the coaching staff was very good, and it worked very effectively. But after that second offensive drive, between the third offensive drive and before the very last offensive drive, there were 26 offensive plays that only went for 84 yards. That's real bad. So that's something that you can't have. You've got to be more efficient with plays. There were way too many just dump offs at or behind the line of scrimmage, way too many run plays and long down and distance where it was starting to become very predictable. It gets to the point where it's so predictable that Cody and I are going at each other's throats in our group text message. You guys wouldn't want to see it. You'd think we hate each other, but it's just something we do every week while we're watching the games. And it's bad because you've got to be able to, like the first game, we see them throwing the ball all over the place. They're throwing it over the middle of the field. It's in the flat. It's in the 10 to 20 yard range on the right hash and the left hash. And then like the last 2 games, it's like all that went away. And from what I understand, it seems like the opposing teams are running a lot of too high safeties, which really does limit what you can do as far as going deeper down the field. But that intermediate of the field should still be open to a degree. So as Cody and I discussed during the game, we really wanted to see more of those 5 to 7 yard passes where somebody's running a curl or a quick slant or whatever, try and hit guys on the run and just make it so that it's 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4, something where you can do run or pass and they can't really predict what you're going to do. So just became way too vanilla and way too predictable in the middle portion of the game. And that's what made it so close. Just the offense was too predictable and couldn't move the ball anymore.
Yeah. Bouncing back to talking Aaron specifically, you're right. I haven't seen him been able to throw around. He had a miscommunication with Pat at one point and was very frustrated. He also had a miscommunication, I think, with Calvin Austin at one point and was frustrated. I don't know. I understand his frustration, but I am getting annoyed with him and how he's reacting to things. That's just me being personal about it, I think. And like, listen, you still have a very young team. Don't yell at him. Go to the sideline, talk about it, figure it out, fix it. 16 to 23, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I thought the interception was a bad interception. I didn't think that ball was anywhere near where it should have been.
Yeah, he just never saw Spillane. I don't know how, because Spillane just sat there.
He's not small.
Yeah. Spillane never was like running around crazy. He was just sitting there in the zone, and he threw it right to him.
Yep.
The one thing I will say for Rodgers on his behalf is he did own up to the poor play at the end of the game in his interview with Evan Washburn. He took the onus on himself. So I understand being a competitor, being in the heat of the moment, getting frustrated. As long as you reconcile it with your teammates afterwards, and obviously we don't get to see as much of the locker room and things like that. But when he publicly on television owns up to not playing well, that goes a ways in my book. So just wanted to commend him for that, owning it, realizing that he could have done better. And hopefully he had those conversations with Pat, Calvin, and any other members that he may have gotten heated with a little bit during the game. But just wanted to highlight that as something that he did do afterwards to kind of ease that a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of his frustration too has been in scramble drills when the play doesn't go the way it's supposed to and it breaks down and guys are supposed to go to certain areas. What he's expecting someone to do because of what he can see is different than where they're going.
Yeah, he wanted Pat to sit down on the one play.
Yeah, yep. Because if he kept on going, you went towards the corner, which is exactly what ended up happening. Pat and Aaron threw it to where he wanted Pat to be, and Pat just wandered away from there, unfortunately. But I think that kind of stuff cleans up as time goes on with it. The more they see film, the more they get used to what each other wants to do on the field. That stuff is going to start getting better. But they got to be able to scheme open the middle of the field better than this. I don't like the tight end usage. I think there's way too much just dumping off in the flat, dumping off on screen plays, and not enough vertical down the middle of the field.
We got big tight ends. Use them.
Yeah. They tried to do another fade pattern to Washington. He got held on the play. They called the flag, fortunately for us. And then we got the Kenny Gainwell touchdown right after that. So even though he did not get anything on the stat sheet, it does kind of register as far as something that's intimidating other teams. He's got the 2-point conversion from a week ago. This week he gets that one-on-one matchup, and the guy says, heck no, I'm just going to hold the living crap out of him because I know I can't stop him if I don't do it. So it is something that teams are starting to notice, and they're going to have to accommodate for. I don't think it's going to be long before we start seeing him getting double-teamed in these situations, which will allow for better opportunities and more space in other areas of the field.
Yep.
I want to see him utilized more because I recognize that mismatch as something that is utilized and goes well for us.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 2-point conversion, now the holding, and you see him draw these plays on a consistent basis when he's out there, but he's just not out there as much as personally I would like.
I want to see him in every time we get inside the 30. I don't want to wait till we get down inside the 10 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I want to see him every play, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think he ought to be out there for a good 65-70% of the plays, because he's their best blocking tight end too. I mean, there was a few plays where they tried to run behind Jonnu Smith and he got blown up, and then the running back has nowhere to go because there's a linebacker behind the line of scrimmage because Jonnu didn't get his block. But that's not really Jonnu's specialty. So,
and you need to be comfortable throwing with Darnell in there as well.
Yes,
because you can't put him out there every time we run because then it's a tell sign.
Yes.
So
yep, he can catch just fine. Just give him an opportunity and he'll convert some plays for you.
Yep. Rushing yards, Jaylen Warren 18 carries for a measly 47 yards. He had good runs. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
Early on, the offensive line was actually doing pretty well, and then it just stopped. The hole stopped being there. I thought the timing of the play calls and the runs were dumb. Misplaced, like not unheard of, just like bad play calling. I felt like a lot of times the run styles, I hate when they do the handoff from the running back being next to the quarterback. I feel like that takes any momentum away from the running back getting ahead of steam and finding a hole and stuff like that. I don't like that style. I never have. But Jaylen Warren is leading this team currently in both rushing and receiving yards through three games, which is wild. Kenneth Gainwell 4 rushes for 16 yards in that touchdown, and then Aaron had 4 technically runs for 1 yard. Running game's not there yet, fellas. Not quite.
No. Although, like you said, there were really good signs the first 2 drives. It was pretty effective. So I thought that there was at least a step in the right direction going on there. One thing I will give this offense credit for, in 8 red zone opportunities, they have 7 touchdowns so far. And the only one that wasn't a touchdown was that interception where Calvin Austin tipped the pass and then the defender caught it. So they're very efficient getting inside that 20 at this stage, which means all those repetitions in the offseason are paying off for them. But, yeah, we got to be able to run the ball all game long. I was kind of disappointed to not see Caleb Johnson get any carries at all in this game. I was
Yeah.
hoping they'd start working him in on the offense as far as the running game, just so that he's not just sitting on the bench stewing in the fact that his last play was so bad. He got 0 special team snaps and 0 snaps on offense in this game. So he dressed but didn't play. I feel like if somebody would have gotten injured, he probably would have gotten out there on offense. But, man, I hate to see a third-round pick just not getting any opportunity at all.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about this too much. I just every now and then when we're talking games, I'll have the highlights on and thinking about stuff. I want to show this play to you guys because this is one of the things that was upsetting me and frustrating me. This is a 3rd and 12, and Aaron goes back and actually has a fairly clean pocket, and then Pat does a delayed route and winds up being pretty wide open in the middle of the field. And instead of throwing it downfield, we do a check off to the running back who catches the ball 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 12. Why try to make the dude run 19 yards? I don't know. It's just there wasn't pressure. It's not like there was anything going on there. That's just not to get away from the running game, but that's just frustrating play calling. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and in a play like that, your running back is supposed to be the last option, not the first option. So, that's a decision that Aaron made, and maybe he just has more trust in Jalen to try to get the yards after catch necessary in that, especially after last game and seeing him do what he did.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. When it's those situations, you got to try to push the ball down the field a little bit, and there just wasn't much of that. Not much of that at all in this game. And I'm very underwhelmed with the deep balls. In this offense, deep passes just aren't working, and a lot of them are landing out of bounds. So they really got to work on that because the chemistry on deep balls just is not there so far in this game, this season.
Yeah. Receivers and receiving yards, Calvin Austin led with 34. Actually, Calvin Austin and Jalen Warren both led with 34 receiving yards on 3 receptions for Calvin, 5 for Jalen. DK Metcalf, 3 catches for 32 yards in that touchdown. Calvin Austin also had a touchdown. Nice little back shoulder pass to him. I want to see that chemistry between him and Aaron build as well because I think everyone's concerned about our wide receivers. I think we have very, very good receivers. I mean, even Ben Skoranek at this point, I'd be fairly confident in on a 3rd down play, like do something with. Jonnu Smith, 3 catches for 23 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, 1 for 10. And then Pat Freiermuth, only 1 for 6. It's nice seeing that the 2 tight ends, the 2 number 1 and 2 tight ends are being targeted, but for only 29 combined yards is very concerning. I want to see you throw the ball to them 29 yards downfield. That's what these guys are for. So
yeah, especially when you're looking at Jonnu with that 3 for 23, and one of those catches is a 21-yard catch.
Yep.
That means the other 2 were at or behind the line of scrimmage, and one of those 2 he fumbled the ball. So just very discombobulated offense, just not real smooth right now. So they got to get better at that. Yeah, I'm with you on the wide receivers not being involved enough as far as the depth of the room. Nobody even targeted outside of Calvin Austin and DK in this game in the wide receiver room. So you're starting to get to a point where those guys are on the field and the defense knows you're not throwing it to them. So that's real bad. You got to incorporate those guys at least every once in a while here and there just so that they actually cover them and don't double and triple team the guys that you're always going to. I thought an improvement from the offensive line in this game. Better in the run blocking early on and late, but in the middle portions, there was a lot of missed assignments. There was one play where they tried to run left and Broderick just completely whiffed on his guy. I think it was Caleb Chason maybe. He just had a clean shot at the running back and hit him behind the line of scrimmage. You just got to execute better in that aspect, but the pass protection drastically better. 0 sacks allowed in this game. So he had time, just didn't have the open guys, didn't have things flowing like it should be. But at least we're getting in the right direction as far as protecting Aaron a little bit better.
Yeah. As much as I hate the targeting purely of Austin and Metcalf in the wide receiver room, I'm hoping that does generate an opportunity for some of those back of the roster guys, because if those guys start garnering more attention, then you get the Scotty Millers and the Ben Skoroneks and the Roman Wilsons getting a little bit more of an opportunity to get open. So Ideally, that generates some opportunity there. I haven't seen that materialize yet, but hopefully it will soon. Because if it doesn't, then we're up a creek. So,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
up
we
Three
are.
Rivers.
Oh, jeez. Good Pittsburgh reference.
That too.
No, I'm with you. I thought the offensive line played overall better. There were a couple of times you called out Isaac Siamalu in our group text of him just kind of watching plays unfold and not be. There was one time where we were running the ball and we got stuck and some of the offensive line were coming behind and trying to push Jalen Warren, and then Jonnu Smith, I think it was, and Isaac Siamalu just are walking away while the play is still happening, like getting ready. Like, just what is happening? How does that happen? I don't understand how you can allow that as a coach or as a veteran quarterback to watch that happen and not be like fix it or you're not playing. I would rather have someone. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Sam Muller looks like he's ready for retirement. Like he doesn't want to play after this season, and he's just kind of going through the motions. So I am unimpressed with Sam Muller so far this season.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Defensive side of the ball will make that transition. Defense had a phenomenal game in the turnover realm, forcing 5 turnovers. My bad for thinking it was 6. I think there wasn't one that got. Oh, there was an interception that got called back. That's what it was probably. So that was
Chuck Clark had one that he ended up not really getting.
Yeah. Defensive line, again, Derek Harmon's first game coming in and getting almost 2 sacks is huge. I thought he also had some good penetration on the run game. No, wasn't often run his direction, and he typically getting behind the line of scrimmage. I saw a lot of good things from Cam Hayward. He had involved. He was involved in 2 of the turnovers, the tip pass that got picked off by Brandon Echols in the end zone, and then he also forced a fumble on the would-be go-ahead score for the Patriots late in the game. So awesome seeing Cam. Oh, yeah, he had a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Just want to highlight Harmon there for a minute. I mentioned that he only had a 47% snap share on defense. In that time, he had the 1 sack, 3 quarterback pressures, 2 solo tackles, and Cody highlighted his staunchness in the run game. According to, I believe, PFF, 2.2 yards per carry when they ran while he was on the field.
Yeah.
So just absolute monster performance from a guy who's still coming back off an injury. So huge play from him. He's 21 years old. He's getting to learn from Cam. I'm excited to see him for years to come, for sure.
This is exactly why that was so important to take a defensive lineman in the first round this year. And not just any defensive lineman, one that can hold up against the run and can get after the quarterback. Harmon, on his very first game back, showed an excellent ability to do both. So you love seeing tackles for loss and sacks and all these pressures all in his first game. I just thought very good performance. He played more than I expected too, and looked good doing so. So I'm very happy to see him out on the field. Cam Hayward, just what a disruptive monster, huh? That's twice now this year that he's tipped a pass and it got intercepted because of it. So his
and that would have been a touchdown had he not.
Yeah, and then the one earlier in the season that Herbig intercepted, he ran all the way back to the 10-yard line. That was the following play was the interception that in the end zone, but still, it's having a really big impact on the season. And Cam just showing that he's not even close to done, just an incredible impact from him. I thought, even though it's not going to show up as much in the stat line here, I thought Dan Aquale did a really nice job as nose tackle in this game. Got a lot of snaps in there, giving Keanu Benton some rest, and looked very stout in the middle, just not an easy guy to move. He might be a nice solution for us in the future as a run-stopping nose tackle type. And we'll see what happens with that with Y.A. Black. His snaps did go down some, but I'm totally cool with that, with the flip side being that Derek Harmon's out there as much as he is. So I don't think anybody on the defensive line represented themselves poorly in this. And that's huge.
And Y is a bigger guy too, so getting him to be able to have a bit more of a motor by getting him out there a little less only benefits his play, in my personal opinion, to be able to reserve him for giving Harmon a rest when he needs it, and then he can go out there and be a fresh set of legs and do what he does, and is still not quite the same as Harmon, but still an effective player and a staunch guy to have on the line. So he's not a slouch as a backup for sure, and to be able to use him as a rotational piece, I think suits him better. The one thing I wanted to kind of go back to that we mentioned earlier in the show was that touchdown to Henry, I believe it was, in the flat. I just watched it several times over from a couple different angles, and it looks like we rushed 9 on that play, which I don't think was intentional, if I counted correctly. And Peppers was one of them, and it noticeably was his side that the ball was thrown to. And the corner or the safety or whoever else was back there, he was on an assigned guy, and obviously Henry just was running free. So I think that one does fall on Peppers, but it looked like we were rushing 9. And when you have 11 guys out there, that doesn't really allow for a whole lot of success.
Yeah. If he can get the ball off, it's going to be completed basically in that situation.
Yeah. 7:26 p.m.
No, I agree with you on that. And I think going back to YA getting those rests, it's going to benefit everybody. That's the same thing that I am sort of excited for, and we can make the bounce out to the exterior or outside linebackers. It's the same thing having depth there. I mean, you can take TJ off and bring Herbig in, or Jack Sawyer, and still get some type of rush. Yes, I'm not comparing Nick Herbig or Jack Sawyer to TJ Watt yet. I'm not doing that. But I don't feel like you lose getting a rush from that. You don't lose a player like getting to the quarterback or allowing pressure. All 3 of those guys are capable of doing it. The biggest part now is getting Alex Highsmith back and healthy. But again, very excited to see the outside linebackers play as well as they did. Nick Herbig got a sack this game. TJ Watt had 2 sacks this game. Just an overall really, really good game from these guys. We also had, if I'm not mistaken, Nick Herbig had 4 quarterback hits, which was phenomenal. That's a stat that's kind of hit or miss how you quantify that. It's basically just meaning he got to the quarterback and made a legal hit. That wasn't a late hit or anything like that. So that shows you that he's getting close a couple times. So
absolutely.
Like to see that those guys.
His burst and ability to get up the field in a very short amount of time is very impressive. He had a real nasty move where he faked outside and then went inside of that number 5 overall pick, Will Campbell, and just absolutely torched him on the way to the quarterback. Campbell didn't even get a hand on him on that play. So Herbig's pass rushing ability, incredible. Still has some work to do as far as his run stopping capability. On one play, he was going up against a wide receiver and not only couldn't move him, but put his hands in the guy's face. So that was kind of a bad look for Herbig on that. But awesome job getting after the quarterback. This is what we've been waiting for all season. Our outside linebacker room to really just tee off on opposing quarterbacks. And it finally happened, and they got some help from the interior guys there as well. But I also thought that DeMarvin Leal in his first action of the season represented himself well. Yep. He was stout versus the run. He got some pressure when he was in there trying to get after the quarterback also. So I feel like even with Highsmith out right now, you've got 4 capable guys on the outside linebacker. And Leal doing a nice job of making it so that it's going to be a tough decision when guys are healthy and ready to go. When Highsmith is ready to come back from the injury, you might want to keep Leal and move somebody else off the roster if he's giving you some value there. Maybe he's the one you want to keep, and maybe it's Odemeo that you slide off to the practice squad or something like that. But I thought both him and Sawyer represented themselves well, and you look like you have a pretty well-rounded unit now.
Yep. Yeah. Interior linebackers, not as well-rounded, apparently, as we were hoping.
Just so up and down, man. I thought they had a great game against the run, and they almost all struggled in the pass.
Yep.
Just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of being a step too far behind, a lot of this guy's running wide open and nobody knows who the hell is supposed to be covering him. That last touchdown to Hunter Henry, he had Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson just staring at each other like, was it you? Was it me? And it looked to me like it was probably Peyton Wilson that was supposed to be in coverage on that. But they got to get this figured out. Even if they're over communicating and it's very obvious to the offense on who's covering who, I would rather that than guys running wide open.
Yep.
So they just got to start barking at each other more pre-snap and during the beginning phases of the play so that we don't have these lapses.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of, they're not going to sit there and say, hey, you got 84, because like then you're telling the offense who's on your guy.
But you're better off than let
I
them
agree.
wide open.
I agree, but there's got to be terms and code words that they can use. I'm sure. I think, Nick, did you ever play football?
Unfortunately, no. Too much head trauma in my life to be out there bashing my skull in.
No, that's fine. I understand. I just wasn't sure. We had never had that conversation. But like James, you and I have played. There's things you can say that are not obvious, but to communicate with your defenders about who you're guarding or what's happening or whatever. And maybe that's just something they don't practice. Maybe that's something that's not implemented. I don't know. But very curious as to how our middle linebackers can be so consistently inconsistent with their ability to pass coverage.
And I think some of this too is still Peyton Wilson just being green at this whole middle linebacker thing. In college, he played weak side linebacker, which is kind of similar to middle linebacker, but kind of different. You're pretty much pursuing off ball and away from plays all the time, which is a strength for a guy as fast and athletic as him. Yep. Now everything's coming right at you. So you have to react. You have to know exactly what you're doing. And I think he's just kind of in his head and just not processing stuff quickly enough. And once he gets to the point where he knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing all the time, I got a feeling he's going to start getting a whole bunch of plays real fast, where he gets a lot of pass breakups or a couple interceptions, that kind of thing. But in the meanwhile, I think it's a good move to continue working Cole Holcomb a little bit more into this defense. He rewarded the team for doing so by getting a forced fumble early on in this game. And Cole looked the part for the most part on this game as well. So just it's tough not to have Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson out there on passing downs. They're your two most athletic linebackers. But the communications just got to improve.
No. I feel like that was almost a critique of Queen, especially in this game. I saw a number of non-Steelers fans reacting to the game on social media, and they'd be like, "Keep going at Queen. He's missing every coverage play." And it was just like,
yeah,
it was just something that everyone seems to notice, at least during this game, that he was just getting burnt in coverage. So
yeah,
we want to see him bring that strength that he has there back, because it seems like he was lost out there, and maybe it was just that miscommunication there. So hopefully they can talk more, and that, like you said, film study should hopefully help too. So
yeah. Bouncing to the secondary now. Overall, a good game from our secondary. Brandon Echols with the interception, Chuck Clark with the would-be interception had he kept his hands under it a little bit more. I thought Jabril Peppers had a very good game. Did he force one of those fumbles? He did. Or he recovered one. I think he forced one and recovered one.
I think he recovered one for sure. I don't recall if he forced one, but I can find out pretty quick here.
But again, overall, the thing that I did hate was there was one moment when I saw it might have been a 3rd down or 4th down conversion for the Patriots, and we had James Pierre guarding Stephon Diggs, which I absolutely hated that idea.
Yeah. That's because Slay was out at the time, though, because he did get a minor injury but came back in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a byproduct of having Joey Porter Jr. out right now. So, you're trying to put Jalen Ramsey in there at safety a little bit, and that forces you to go down the depth chart. And if we had a healthy roster, he would not be on the field. I mean, let's be realistic. Even the other guy, Corey Trice would have been ahead of James Pierre if he was healthy.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's basically 6th on the depth chart as far as corner, but you got a couple guys down right now.
Yeah. But again, a good list of pass breakups. Brandon Echols had a pass breakup. Darius Slay had a pass breakup. Our guys were getting involved and keeping their head up. We allowed 268 yards passing, unfortunately. But I didn't think it was a as obvious as a getting burnt on from our secondary aspect as it has in the past. Do you guys want to jump to special teams?
I was trying to get your forced fumbles there. The forced fumbles were Nick Herbig, Cole Holcomb, TJ Watt, and Cam Hayward. So
okay, so no.
Peppers didn't get one, but I know he jumped on one. And I think we should honestly give Peppers a lot of credit in this game. I thought he was really good.
Yep.
He was kind of flying all over the place, making a lot of tackles, making a lot of hits. He's going to be a welcome addition to this safety room. And I think it's going to kind of phase out Clark and Thornhill a little bit, but I'm okay with that. If Peppers is a better safety than both of those guys, maybe the solution until Elliott is back is a little more Ramsey and Peppers back there, and JPJ and Slay on the outside, Eccles in the slot. Maybe that's your best five right now.
Yep, and I'm okay with that.
And let's give Eccles credit too, not just that interception, but that tackle on the very last offensive drive.
Yep.
Man, if he doesn't make that tackle, they might go and score on that drive. Guy completely pulled a Deontay Johnson, caught the ball basically at the sticks, tried to spin backwards to get more, and Eccles stopped him and didn't allow an extra inch after that collision. So really nice tackle by Eccles in a very, very critical moment.
Yeah, no, very good open field tackle for him. Lucky that the guy ran backwards. Otherwise, it probably would have been a first down. I mean, if he just tries to backpedal, he gets that first down fairly easy, in my opinion, with forward progress. So we take that. He was involved in that, and I also think it was Peyton Wilson came up and cleaned it up just in case. I think he would have got first down. But still 100% very good play by Brandon Eccles. And I'm actually starting to become very fond of Brandon Eccles. I see him making plays and running around a lot, and so I'm excited to have him on the team. Darius Slay kind of similar, a little bit less. I mean, Darius Slay is a little bigger of a corner than Eccles, but excited to see that. Bouncing to special teams, we had 4 punts for 169 yards from Corliss Waitman, 3 of them inside the 20. One was at the 6, which was phenomenal. A great punt. Kenneth Gainwell had 1 kick return for 27 yards. No punt returns on this game. New England only punted once, and then 5 turnovers. So, and then Chris Boswell 3 for 3 on extra points. Boss for president. So
the only thing I have to add on that, Waitman had 1 punt where it was only like 26 yards, and it was fielded at the 16. You'd like to see that a little bit deeper. Pin him in between like the 10 and 5 there. So a little bit of work he needs as far as placement on some of these. But the leg power is unmistakable. That's for sure.
Yep. Anything else from this game you guys want to talk about?
Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers on passing Brett Favre on the all-time TD list. So Steelers Aaron Rodgers did that. Not Jets Rodgers, not Packers Rodgers. Steelers Rodgers did that. So we claim that.
He's realistically too, with 7 touchdowns in the first 3 games, he's got a shot at passing a couple more guys by the end of the season if he can stay healthy.
It's who, Manning and Breeze in front of him now?
And it's Brady. Like 538 and 539 or 539 and 540. It's reachable. He's at 509. Could he get 30 more touchdown passes in the next 14 games? That's only 2 a game.
You're not wrong. So Aaron's at 5'10" right now.
All right.
He's not getting to Drew Brees. He could get to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's 539.
Yeah.
Drew Brees is 571.
Okay, yeah, he's not getting to that. I thought there was somebody else that was only like 1 off of him.
Nope. Just Peyton Manning above him.
Unless DK has his way and convinces him to come back for another season.
Yeah.
Then he could catch 571. He's still not catching Brady.
No, he's like 670 or something.
49.
Yeah,
649.
That's not happening. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes as the season goes on. I do think that Aaron has a chance to run him down there and maybe catch him at that 539. So we'll see 29 more passing touchdowns in the next 14 games. Very doable. He's on pace for it right now. He's averaging what, 2.3 touchdown passes per game. If he does 2.3 times 14 games, he's over 30.
Yeah. Yeah, for those Browns fans out there, Joe Flacco is going to pass Dave Krieg for 21st overall.
There you go.
Where's he at on the interception list? He's got to be one of the top.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
He's got to be up there with Vinny Intercept the Verdi.
Find out. Intercept the Verdi's crazy. Let's find out.
Same kind of guy, man. Threw a lot of touchdowns, but threw a lot of picks too. I think Favre has the record though for most.
Oh yeah, and it's all by far.
Yeah.
Also, credit where credit's due to the Brownies. Despite wearing their dude white brown helmets, they managed to knock off the Packers this week. So that's always an impressive thing to see, and good to know that the Packers are beatable.
Joe Flacco's not even in the top 50 yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is he close?
He's 3 interceptions away from tying Ryan Fitzpatrick for 50 overall.
Oh yeah, he's gonna
Fitz magic.
He's gonna blow right past that this year,
especially with the receiving core he's got.
So it seems though Pittsburgh got out of this game without any major injuries, but some of the notable ones around the league here. Starting left guard for the Vikings went down, and it appears to be a significant injury that he's going to miss some time. So Pittsburgh will not only be going against Carson Wentz instead of J.J. McCarthy, but a backup left guard, which is the guy responsible for Cam Hayward. So that's going to be a very favorable matchup for Cam going into this week. Right tackle DeJuan Jones for the Browns took a significant injury, expected to miss, I think, the rest of the season is what they were saying with his injury. And then a couple former Steelers in both James Conner and Najee Harris with very significant injuries. Najee, unfortunately, looks like an Achilles, and James Conner, I was hearing ankle /
broken
lower
ankle.
leg.
100% a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And he's done for the season. And that at this age, it may be career ending.
That's real bad for Najee. I think, if it's just a broken ankle and there's no ligament, Connor could be able to come back from that, but Najee's in trouble.
Yeah.
This was a 1-year prove it deal in a ruptured Achilles. He's in trouble, man. He might have a real tough time getting a league minimum contract in 2 years because he probably won't be ready to go next year.
Yep. So it's going to be very unfortunate for that. We never wish any injuries on anybody, so we'll be praying for those guys.
Absolutely.
Hope they get healed up and can still play ball. But that's going to wrap up this episode of the Steelers by the Lake podcast. Jill, again, was not here. We hope she's having fun doing her cheer stuff. We can't thank you guys enough for watching or listening. Don't forget to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews and Apple Podcast. Make James very, very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, and Nick Pretzel, signing off.
Peace.